Hello from Chiang Mai, Thailand. This is Michael Yan. It's 27 April 2020. It's about 1:30 in the morning here in Thailand. We'll talk about some very important things today. Let a few people get in first. I'd like to thank everyone who supported my work. Very important on Patreon, PayPal, Venmo, all the other methods. Mitsubishi Bank in Japan, Bank of America in the United States, Bangkok Bank in Thailand, and it's just very important. And sell and all the other Bitcoin. It's very important. We're going to talk about some really important things tonight. Please share this out. We'll get started. Turn up the volume. There we go. How's that? Volume should be good now. We're going to talk about some very important things tonight. But first, I will repeat, I'd like to thank everybody who supported my work. And sound should be good now. I often forget that I have a microphone on the roof. We're going to talk about some very important things tonight, but I'm going to spend most of it just answering questions. So I'll get straight to good. No echo. We should be good to go. All right. Again, I want to thank everybody who supported my work on Patreon, PayPal, Venmo, Bank of America, P.O. Box, mailing checks, so many methods. I'm going to shift over to Taiwan, and because that obviously is in great danger, as is Hong Kong. I've been watching events in Hong Kong tonight and talking with Hong Kongers. Obviously, that's very important. As you see, Gordon Chang retweeted something that I emailed to him about, China is poised to go full Tibet on Hong Kong. I don't know if they will, but it's clear that they have been, if you're watching close enough, you'll see it, as do Hong Kongers. Likewise with Taiwan, obviously in great peril. So I'll lift and shift over there. But again, I wanted to thank, we'll talk about a few things that are very important, and then I'll get straight to questions. But first, for those that are always asking about fasting, I'm in day 18 on my fast, and as is Soy. You see, there is day 18. And I'm not sure how long I'll go. I think I'll go to at least 21 because Soy wants to go to 21. Soy is Kai's mother. And those are, by the way, ways that you can support: Venmo, PayPal, and the Cash app. If you just take a photo of that with your phone, it'll pop right up. Patreon's the best because people sign up monthly. Thank you to everybody on that. Let's get to some important things, and I'm going to just answer questions. Well, Barbara's asking, did Kim Jong die? I don't know. I tell you, we'll get to that. But first, a sip of water, and then we'll get serious. All right. I think a lot of people are not taking this seriously yet. Let's rewind the tapes back in January, when to most people that even paid any attention, this was the flu at most. That's how a lot of people looked at it back in January, when I bought 600 masks and told people to start stocking up on food in January. This idea that things could start closing down, that flights could be grounded internationally, that restaurants could be closed, that hospitals will eventually go bankrupt, which they will, many will in the United States. This was inconceivable to a lot of people, right? It was clear. It was inconceivable to a lot of people 1 month ago. Whereas some of us who study these things, even though we're not infectious disease experts, we do study national security threats. And as you know, I've been talking about various biological threats on my live streams for a long time, and then this came along. What I'm getting to is, I think this is far more serious than most people take it, even the people that are taking it seriously. There's only a few of us that are still, I'll get to my point. I don't believe that the United States is going to get by with 200,000 deaths. I don't believe that. I don't see that. I see it much, much higher. Nobody knows how high, because tomorrow there could be a wonderful pharmaceutical, or we could even have a vaccine next year sometime, 2 years. I don't know. But if there is a vaccine, and there's no vaccine for SARS-1, there's no vaccine for HIV AIDS, there's no vaccine for a lot of things. So if there is a vaccine in 18 months, it'll be way too late. It'll be way too late. You get it? The house will be burned down. Now, there's a lot of questions that the infectious disease experts do not know yet. They haven't had time to study this thing. Can people become reinfected, as an example, is unknown. What long-term organ damage is being done by this virus is unknown, but it looks like a lot at this point for some people. We don't know. They don't know. And there's a lot of politics flying around that's muddying the water. It's horrific. We can all see that. But, therapeutic, will there be any magical therapeutical drugs that come out or that are already out? We'll know soon enough. But what we can see is the virus is only a catalyst. And what I see at the moment in foretelling the future is I can't foretell the future more than usually a couple seconds. And that's about the edge of my headlights on foretelling the future. But we can make intuitive leaps, which over time, you've seen, if you've read my work for the last 20 years, it's been pretty doggone wildly accurate on big things that I study enough to make any gander at. And what I'm seeing with this one is a problem set that is growing exponentially, separately, but the virus is the catalyst. But there's so many other things that this has been a catalyst to get in motion. For instance, political uncertainties all over the world. My bottom line is, to be directionally accurate, I believe within the next, say, 5 years, just to put a directional number on it, in between all of the deaths that are involved in all of related items, not just the virus, but also just people that couldn't get to the hospital, or wars and famines. I think famines could end up being the largest cause of fatalities in this. I don't know. Could be wars, could be the virus, could be a lot of things. But I think if you add all of this up together, my gut instinct, just watching how this is playing out, is there will be hundreds of millions of deaths, hundreds of millions. And within the United States, way more than 1 million. That's my guess, not just from the virus, but other causes. I think way more than 1 million in the United States within the next 5 years, and probably a lot more, a lot sooner, but I don't know. That's just the way it looks and feels, watching all the different problem sets unfold, because there are, we've got famines are going to unfold. As I said in January, when you have big pandemics, there's always famines. It's just like it's a Siamese twin, right? And with those two things, or with any one of these things, famines, pandemics, always come wars. And big wars always bring pandemics and famines. This is like a triangle of hell, right? And so we've got all of these things unfolding. What I'm getting to is, you need to prepare, and you need to keep preparing, and you need to prepare. You need to invest. People keep asking me what to invest in. I'm not an investment specialist, whatsoever. So people ask me about what should they do with 401k? I don't know. I'll tell you this: invest in your own resilience. Invest in the resilience of your family and your friends and your community and those around you. Invest in educating everybody on, for instance, how to grow a garden. I spent quite a bit of time today looking at videos of people online, looking for good videos to post about people who seem to know it. There's one guy I found, I like him. He's down in Los Angeles. He's showing how to do guerrilla gardening, like, gardening in densely packed areas, just in open lots that are owned by the city or abandoned or whatever. The sidewalk areas there that have grass, just plow them up and plant tomatoes, that sort of thing. And people ask him, don't you care that people are going to steal your tomatoes? And he's like, I don't care. That's what I want them to do. I'm trying to get everybody to plant food. I'm trying to get everybody to do it. Guy's smart. Look up gangsta gardening. The guy's, he's a trip. I think he's a good guy to listen to. That's my initial assessment, watching quite a few of his videos, but I didn't post any yet. But bottom line is, continue to prepare. We have passed the point of no return. This is launch commit, right? There's no getting back on the starting pad and doing it again. We are flying, all engines running, right? The virus is all engines running. Everything's going. There's no abort. There's no way out. And so we are launch commit all the way. And, we see Georgia about to open up for people that probably aren't Americans, don't know where Georgia is. That's right. I'm from Florida. That's Georgia right there. It's a great state. The governor and some other governors wish to open their states because we've got another problem, which of course is the economy. So we've got all these different problem sets that all come together into a mega problem set. And so, and a lot of us know what a lot of them are, but a lot of people still don't quite realize that they should stock up on food. I have a friend in Los Angeles. She still doesn't get it. She doesn't get it at all. She's like, she can still order out and still get stuff delivered. Not getting it. If you're wrong, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. If you're wrong, you're going to pay. If you buy too much food, you'll just eat it later. It's not a big deal. Food prices, listen, what I said in January, food prices are going to go up. And I said that, and a lot of people didn't agree. Food prices are now going up, right? United States government is printing e-money like it's going out of style. Inflation is going to go up. I've been to countries, that's why I said, 6 weeks ago, or I don't know, a long time ago, count your coins and cash them in. And there's a reason for that. One is it's just an exercise to get you to think. But another is I've been in countries like Poland who had massive inflation, and then all the coins were suddenly useless, right? And so the coins, so if you were sitting on $400 worth of coins, I had like 240 it was over $200 worth of coins, right? US dollars worth. It was Thai coins. And then I've got coins from all over the world. I can't cash them in. Those would have been worthless if inflation spikes up, and inflation is going to go. We don't know how high, but it's going to skyrocket. And you can see these things. And when I've seen them in the United States is not in a recession. It's not in a recession. It is in a depression. This is the most, I've been saying this since January, not the depression part, but this is the most significant event in human history. In January, I was saying, if this goes the way I think it might go, it will be the most significant event in the world history. But now in April, this is the most significant event in human history. It's going to be more significant than the great influenza and the bubonic plague. It's going to be more significant than World War II or World War I. This is serious. If you're not taking it seriously, you're going to pay. So invest in your resilience. Invest in, like I've gotten solar power put on, right? In battery backup, because it's a great investment, which it can be actually, but over a long period, but more so that I actually have electricity. Invest in things that make you resilient. Work on your health now. If your health is fading, get on it. If you don't have enough food stocked up, stock it up, and don't stock up a bunch of junk food. Stock up healthy food. If you don't know how to can food, if you don't know how to pickle food, if you don't know how to ferment food, get on it. Get a pressure cooker. If you're dependent on gas, if you're dependent on electricity to cook your food, Go get one of those Coleman gas stoves, that sort of thing. I'm talking with readers around the world. So keep in mind, not everybody lives on an Amish farm, right? So a lot of people have different problem sets. But be prepared that you could lose electricity. I've been saying that since January. Be prepared to be able to fetch your own water and off your roof or something, depending on your environment, and to filter it. Be prepared for that. For long term or for short. Africa. If you live in Africa, I would be extra prepared. If you live in a lot of parts in the world, you better be ultra prepared. Because one thing that the old people used to say when I was young, you must be more prepared. The less people around you are prepared, the more prepared you must be. If everybody around you has got their thumb up there, then you need to be more prepared. Because when stocks do become available, if things go out of stock, I mean really out of stock. I don't mean toilet paper shortages. That's irrelevant. If things really go out of stock and they're not being resupplied 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 2 months later, then you're into burning your fat. You're into, going into your resources. And when the other people have to fight for stuff, and you'll see fist fights. You'll see them all. There's already been some, and there's nothing really going on yet in some places. But you don't want to get out in that. You don't want to get out in that mess if the infection's running wild, and those sorts of things. You don't want to get out in that. You want to be prepared. You want to be able to hold up, right? And we'll talk. And so if you're getting stir crazy, don't worry about it. We'll talk about techniques to make you not stir crazy. How about fasting? Fasting is a nice way to ease your mind, and we can talk about it. Zoe's also on her 18th day of fast. Let's get down to answering questions. I've said my piece. Listen, this is super serious. It's not going to be over by August. No president, no anybody around the world has control over this thing. They don't. It's out of control. What we can do is mitigate as much as possible. But how are we going to we can't totally mitigate. We have to have a functioning economy. China's still alive, and China's gunning for us, right? Now, China's hurting as well. I was talking with a friend in China today. I've known him for 20 years, and he's got a factory up there, and he's saying all his exports dead. And domestic stocks in China, domestic customers also just no business. So a lot of his business was export, and others internal. It's not there. A lot of Chinese associates and friends are saying that within China. China, their economy is, I've said since January, the CCP we know is dead. It is dead. It's gone. Now it's still alive, and it may survive into something else. I don't believe that it will. This is the anniversary of Chernobyl, by the way. 26 April 1986. I was in the field with my Green Beret team. We had parachuted into Luxembourg. It's a little country in Europe. We were practicing to parachute into Poland to fight Russians, to fight Soviets, right? And we were out there very hungry, doing guerrilla warfare exercises, right? We parachuted in at night, and the farmers were looking for us because they took out advertisements on the Luxembourg government takes out advertisements in the newspapers and radio and Luxembourg TV to watch for U.S. soldiers and call us in if they see us. Not because they're our enemies, but because they're trying to be realistic and be real enemies for us. So, if we leave any boot prints around, it's hard not to leave boot prints. They're supposed to call it up. Hey, I see a boot print, right? And the next thing you know, we're going to have a battalion of crazy people looking for us. 82nd Airborne or something. You ever try to get away from 82nd Airborne? It's not fun. So that's what I was doing. We were out in the field running around practicing blowing up bridges or whatever. And and we get a call come in on the encrypted radio. The Soviets were jamming our radios and stuff. They do that even during training, right? Or send fake messages. You waste time decrypting fake messages, and they don't decrypt. And and we get this message that something's happened and there's poison or whatever, and don't drink the water and all this stuff. It was Chernobyl. And Chernobyl is one of the things that led to the downfall of the Soviet Union. That also Afghanistan, Poland, Reagan being elected, a lot of things conspired and took down the USSR, right? This virus, as Steve Bannon will often say, is the Chinese Communist Party's Chernobyl. It is, absolutely. You should see that series, by the way. But in any case, let's get down to some questions. Here. Let me start at the very top. Okay, let's see. Hello, everybody everywhere. Okay, comms broken, sound very far away. Hey, Kim, it should be good now. All right. Hello in Northern Nevada, Cheryl. In Mississippi, Penny. Let's see. That's right, Tommy. Back at it again, wild man. Roger, looking lean and mean, Mike. I'll get there. I'm still not lean enough. I need to be lean enough when I go to Taiwan. If the Chinese do invade, I ain't surrendering. I'll be out there living in the jungle. And that's actually a benefit of being able to go long periods without food. I can run off out in the jungle and I'll be like 10 days without food, and I'll be like, so what? You know what I mean? It's raining. I got water off these big leaves. You know what I'm saying? I'll just totally Rambo it. Ain't no way. If you want to see what's going on, you don't run away. But one thing's for sure, you better run into that jungle. Hey, Bill. Hey, in Texas. Okay, Barbara's saying, what do I think about Kim Jong-un? Did he pass? I don't know, but it looks pretty suspicious, doesn't it? I mean, how long has it been since we've seen his bacon face? He's out there, running around, be a dictator, and suddenly he's disappeared. I wouldn't doubt it if he's dead. Some people seem to be afraid that he is because of what could happen. Maybe his sister takes charge or whatever. I don't know. Obviously, they've got a criminal enterprise and a cult going on up there. It's a big-time cult, and it's a criminal enterprise. And anything goes. But I can tell you one thing: as I prepare to go to Taiwan, I be apprised, even though I'm raising money to go to Taiwan. You understand who I am, and you understand how the world works. If there should be a war with Korea, I will divert. I will apologize in advance. If you're investing in me to go to Taiwan and a war breaks out in Korea, I will have to divert. And so, please, I would beg forgiveness for that, but so that you know in advance. Thanks, Dan. Okay. Best haircut on the internet. You know what? I did it myself too, man. You know what? I did it myself. I didn't even go to the barber, and I didn't get my razor in yet. And my it's still lost in space. I'm still losing it. Colin, thank you. Did you see? Okay, Bill Davis is saying, do you see any signs of the Chinese ramping up for a future move on Taiwan, Hong Kong, and other smaller areas? Yeah, actually, I'm going to Taiwan, brother. Yeah. Will they do it? I don't know. I mean, if they have an internal fight, maybe that'll be a diversion for them. Let me do something here. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. But yeah, will they do it? I don't know. But you look at me, I'm preparing. So, yeah. Been a while since I've been to Taiwan. I love Taiwanese people. They're unbelievable. Taiwanese people are like a special people. They're like a mixture between Japanese and Thais, and then they're what it may seem strange to Taiwanese to hear that, but you come across to me as a mixture between like Japanese and Thais, and then this special other thing which is Taiwanese. You're just a special people on earth. Got just an incredible set of qualities, like a real seriousness, like a Japanese seriousness, but at the same time, a Thai, don't worry, be happy, which I loved. I love those two. I love that mixture between deadly serious and also don't worry, be happy. It's like a perfect mix. Uh, Creighton is saying, saw a video of Dandong, China, armored moving to North Korean borders. Yorkshire. Hola, down in Australia. Thanks, Tiffany. Where, where he is 427. You're talking about April 27th. This is Chiang Mai. I'm in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Uh, Megan, I know people are still saying it's overblown. I know most of the people on my channels have been with me for a long time, even many years. And so they know that I don't come out and go hairs on fire. I don't have any hair to go on fire. But they don't come out and, I don't come out, when I say something is happening and it's big and it's, going to make me sound kind of crazy, because I don't like to sound crazy. I don't like you to hear something and go, I think Mike's lost it a little bit. He's fasting too much or whatever. And I don't like that. You know what I mean? So I'm very cautious with the things that I say, and if they sound crazy, for instance, that I think this will result in hundreds of millions of deaths. If you add the virus up with all other causes, say in the next 5 years, that's just how, when I wake up in the morning and I've had a nice night of sleep and I'm super fresh and I'm sitting there thinking, as I do every morning, and all these things that I read and study and experience, earlier parts of my life, and the compass needle to me points to, this is huge. It's going to be dramatic. As I was saying in January, there will be your life before 2020. There will be our lives in 2020 and 21, 22, and then there will be our next lives. But they will not be the same. Our lives are now different, and they will be different from here on out. We're not going to be different internally. We're still ourselves. This is a good opportunity to grow. One of the good things about hard times and even wars is that you instantly start seeing who the good guys and bad guys are, who the strong women and weak women are. You start seeing who the leaders are, start seeing who the followers are. Nothing wrong with being a follower whatsoever. Most people need to be followers, but everybody actually needs to be a leader to some level. Everybody has to at least lead themselves, right? And everybody needs to be a leader on some level, at least leading themselves, and which requires truth, right? Which means the ability to face up to harsh truths, and a harsh truth that I'm seeing, that I've been reluctant to say, is I really think that we're looking at probably hundreds of millions of deaths between famines and wars, and just all other causes, and the virus. It's just how it looks. I can't support that. If you ask me for data, people were asking me for data about the Iraq Civil War, and I'm like, I ain't got it. I'm just out on the battlefields every day. And I'm telling you, I think it's a civil war. It is a civil war, and I think it's growing out of proportion, and it did. And other things, like when I said I think that we're now winning the war in Iraq, I said that in maybe August of 2007 at the peak casualties. Look on icasualties.org, and you'll see the August, I think, of 2007 was the peak casualties in the Iraq war, the peak. And I was on some big radio show, Hugh Hewitt show, I think. And I said that I think we're turning it around, something like that. And a lot of people then thought I was crazy. They're like, this is the highest casualties in the entire war, and you're saying we're starting to turn it around? I'm like, I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I'm on the battlefields every day, and we're whooping their asses. We're taking a lot of casualties. But we're whooping their asses. and we're really smashing them down. And so, uh, that was how it felt. I felt the people moving to our side. I felt so many things. When I say I felt it, I don't mean like it's some, hippie thing. I mean, I'm talking about, I'm watching people give us information, flooding us with information about where the enemy is. That's so likewise, I'm watching this thing 7 days a week, and add on that just years of studying such things. And there's some voodoo involved. I could be very wrong, and if I am, I'll pay for it, big time. But if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, and I failed to warn you what I truly think and I just put solar power on. I'm voting with my own. You know what I mean? And I'm going off to Taiwan actually. There's what I really think. Watch my movements. Cheryl, close friend was talking to her friend in India, said police are beating people who are not complying and many are starving. Government is providing beans, but babies need milk. Now, remember what I said about India. Now, just a few months ago, I was saying India will be one of the worst. And a lot of Indians who come on my page, namaste. I hope everything is well in India. I want to go back. Last year I got all my vaccines to return to India, and then the insurgency kicked off in Hong Kong, and I had to go to Hong Kong because that's a direct line fight on China. That's front line on China. Sorry, India. Got my vaccines to go to India, and punched out to the Hong Kong insurgency. But I've spent 10 months in India, rolling around the north, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Jaipur out there in Rajasthan and up in Kashmir and many places. And I can clearly see that India is at severe risk. And that's why I said to a lot of Americans earlier on, I was like, unless you're in for the hardest ride of your life, you better get out. And in fact, I almost went to India. But actually, they kicked out all the foreigners, which I think they should have done, actually. And they did. The Indian government, I think that's what they did. I saw it in the news. And if the Indian government did that, they were behaving responsibly to get rid of everybody out of India that doesn't need to be there. I think if that's what they did, then they were very wise. But India, you see, this is a potential problem for Thailand, is that India is going to face some famines. That's my sense based on knowing a bit about India and a bit about this stuff. Hey, Thai people, you paying attention, my friends and loved ones in Thailand? There's India right there, right? Well, you can't see Thailand. Thailand's off the map, but it's very close to India, right? Bangladesh is going to have a problem too. Bangladesh. Nepal's going to have a problem for sure. Myanmar, which is a little bit off the map, borders Thailand. There's a billion people right there. There's more than a billion people that are potentially about to have a problem. Bangladesh, I've been there. Very densely populated. Nice people. I wish the best for the great people in Bangladesh. You treated me so good out there in Bangladesh, and I appreciate it, and I remember it. And I know it's going to be hard times ahead. This is a thing that my Thai friends need to be aware of. There's relative food security in Thailand. However, China can cut off a lot of the water, as you know. And if China is having food problems, do you think that they'll elbow Thailand and others to export food to China? And cut off your water. You know how China plays, right? They play by the ultimate rules. They will absolutely do it, and they will do it without compunction. They will do it. They've already threatened the United States to cut off our pharmaceuticals. They've already done things like that with masks, stealing PPE from countries around the world, or let's say buying it up in advance, hoarding it, and leaving people like Australians and others without, and then selling it back at They're savages. Chinese Communist Party are savages. Stock up, Thai friends. Because remember, even though Thailand is very tough and resilient, and there's farms and gardens everywhere all around us, if they're just be prepared just in case something goes wrong, way wrong with China and India and Bangladesh or any of the other neighbors. Doris is saying, I see Deb has put a link up, but I can't click it now anyway. CC, and by the way, Deb and others, when you put up links, thank you for putting them up. Always please put a one sentence at least saying what it is so that people can decide whether or not they want to click through. I know it's tempting to just put a link, but please always say what it is. Okay. Barbara says, they're still not taking it serious. Yes, hospital, you are right. They are begging other people to come in ER for other things. Do not be afraid. They say they are up for other business. Your county is already talking about it. Listen, the doctors and nurses and other law enforcement and other people that are vitally needed on the front line, make sure, if you know any of them personally, and almost every one of us knows doctors and nurses and law enforcement and truck drivers, anybody we need out there, make sure to support them. Make sure to ask them. I'm sorry, I heard something. Oh, I have an outside mic there. I can turn it up and hear if there's anybody prowling around. So you can hear what's outside. It's rain. Hear it? So if anybody's prowling around, I can crank up the mics. Anyway, or Barney will light them up. Make sure to help any law enforcement, doctors, nurses, EMTs, everybody. If everybody helps one person every day, we're going to be good to go, right? We're going to take a lot of casualties, but we'll get through it. And first, remember, take care of yourself. Like the oxygen mask drops in the airplane, put your mask on, then put the child's mask on. So take care of your own health first and your own well-being first, because you can't help anybody. I can't help anybody if I'm not healthy. I just become a burden. So I can help the people around me by, first of all, not being a burden. So first of all, do not be a burden unless you are truly a burden, like you've got some serious health problem. And so, but don't be a burden psychologically or otherwise. Time to toughen up for those who feel a little weak. Hey, this is that time to show what you're made of, right? And take care of yourself, and then start taking care of those around you. So a good leader always takes care of him or herself first. Doesn't mean eat first. That's setting a bad example. But I mean take care of yourself first, and then take care of those around you and get good sleep and that sort of thing. And so then you'll be much more effective, and you're much less likely to become a burden. Deborah says there are therapeutics. I hope that they work like crazy, and I hope they work very well. Very well. Let's see. Ray Sense says U.S. has fewer an enemy. Kim may. I don't know what you mean by that. Bill Davis. I had a small stockpile of N95 masks, not meant for a virus or attack, but I immediately went to my local emergency room and donated due to their shortage. And being on the front lines, I guess I feel the needs for those frontline people have the more urgent need. Listen, see, that underlines the point that old people told me all the time. If those around you are not prepared, you must be more prepared, right? Like, for instance, our hospitals not even having masks. That's why I bought 600 masks in January. Back then, I didn't know our hospitals didn't have stockpiles of masks. I had no idea. I had no idea that the United States, as an example, was so ill prepared. So ill prepared. The United States, and that goes back to what the old people say all the time. They said it so many times to me when I was growing up. the less prepared the people are around you, the more prepared you must be. They would say it all the time. And now, look, this was a perfect example. So many things just happened. Our hospitals don't have masks. Very few people had masks. And so now when we need masks, we can't get them because the people that should have stockpiled them were not prepared. So that underlines the message of the old people. Listen to the old people. You know what? I tell you what. I used to think when I was a kid, my grandmother would start to talk and I'd be like, there goes Granny again saying something crazy. It's all turned out to be true. Every last word. I mean, all the crazy stuff she used to say, it's all turned out to be true. And it's like when we were kids and the old people would start talking, we'd be like, oh, there goes the old people again, saying crazy stuff again. They weren't crazy. They turned out to be truthful. You know what? They used to tell me about communist countries, and they really sounded crazy. They sounded crazy. But it turns out I then spent many years with communists. You don't want to be communist. Trust me. You will much rather fight than be communist. Much rather. Laird Cummings says, we're already more than halfway to 100,000 deaths. Vaccines for coronavirus, extraordinarily difficult. Don't hold your breath. I'm not for a virus, Laird. And also, now that you bring that up, remember, that's deaths in the United States that are attributed to the actual virus. And look at UK is experiencing a lot more weekly deaths than normal. It's in the thousands, actually. I think 7,000 more deaths weekly than normal. Is that number correct? I believe it's actually correct. Ultimately, we need to compare. I mean, for scientific reasons, everything needs to be as precise as possible. It's for study and that sort of thing for science. But for bulk weighing, let's say, we need to know really what's the total increase in deaths of whatever cause, right? Because that has significant effects, obviously, but and can tell us a lot. Tiffany says, please go on a raw foods diet. My son and I are close to doing that right now. Actually, when I finish this fast, I'm going to there's a fresh market not far from here, and I don't mean one of those Wuhan crazy markets with bats and all that. It's just like, I took a video camera through it the other day. It's nice and clean. Everything's clean. It's good to go. And prices are good. Food's fresh. That's where I'll be buying a lot of stuff. Thailand's pretty safe on food right now, but I would still stock up, and I have. And if you're in the U.S., you look. I know it sounded crazy just in January, didn't it? But now we see pork prices probably about to go up, beef prices, and all kinds. And remember, when those prices, when you have a shortage of one thing, people are still going to eat something else, right? So those calories are now eliminated from the marketplace. The pork or beef or whatever other calories get removed, people are going to then start eating other stuff, and that other stuff price is going to go up. What's going to happen to our restaurants around the world? I think it doesn't look good. I think most of them are going to go out of business. I mean, it doesn't look good. You can hear the rain here. I love rain. Let's see here. Oh, thunder. Yeah, okay. My nephew came. Oh, Deborah's saying her nephew came down with a second bout or relapse of the virus this week. Is that confirmed? First of all, did you get the first confirmed and the second? And did an actual doctor say that this is a relapse? And if so, I'm very interested in specifics. But did it come from an actual doctor and tested at least both times? Barbara says, when will school open? August, and colleges places are opening up now in our state, Georgia. They're walking into the fire. I mean, I understand the desire to open the economy, and I want to open it too. And I understand there's a lot of complexity to this because it's easy for me to say, well, everybody that doesn't want to go to work should just not go to work, right? But you can lose your job like that. So if everybody opens up and you say, okay, y'all open up, but I'm gonna stay home. I'll see you when this passes. They're gonna be like, okay. And then by the time you come back to work, somebody's replaced you, right? And so everybody knows that. That's the kind of some tough catch 22s here, and there is no easy way. There is no way to do this without severe casualties. There is no way to stay home without severe casualties and destroying the economy. And this is going to be beyond the Great Depression. That's the way it's looking to me. And you don't need to be an economist to see a house burn down. You know what I mean? You don't. There's some things, like I've said for years, I don't need to be an orthopedic surgeon to see somebody get hit by a car and say, that guy's got a compound fracture in his femur, because I see it sticking out, right? Likewise with this economy. I don't need to be Warren Buffett to see that it's just got hit by a train. And it's getting worse. And so what are you going to do? You're going to go to work? I mean, or you're going to not go to work? And these are the choices. And I think the idea of opening schools, though, is a bad idea. A lot of people keep comparing this to Sweden, which is a mistake because, first of all, they have a totally different culture. They do a lot more social distancing. If you have any Swedish friends, just go crowd their space and watch. They'll kind of step back, right? But some other cultures don't do that. Like a lot of Asian cultures are much more comfortable in tighter spaces. Sweden's are more distant, and they have a lot of summer cottages already, and a huge percentage of Swedish already live alone anyway. So it's effective isolation anyway. So we have to be careful by especially for people that have traveled around a lot and seen a lot of the world. The more of the world you see, the slower you talk about, the way things are, because then your memory starts churning and you're like, you know what I mean? And you go through your library of memories and you become very cautious with your words. Michael Sabat saying the Thucydides trap, China is rising challenge to America, and the current coronavirus is the catalyst. Maybe Kim Jong Un's death. Yeah, well, China's got its own problems too internally, and let's see what happens with their economy. Let's see. Ray Sense says, if war starts, you guess where is start by what nation? Well, in reality, I'm guessing that there'll be multiple wars, maybe many wars come out of this, probably many. And a lot of them we'll never even hear much about. It'll be like one little mention in a newspaper now and then, the so-and-sos are fighting the so-and-sos in so-and-so place, over such and such a reason. And it'll just be like people I don't know fighting people I don't know in a place I don't know for a reason I don't care about. So a lot of those little wars will it's when they threaten things like energy supply, which doesn't seem to be a big deal at this point, because energy, how much is it going for now? This water is probably more expensive. All right, let's answer some questions. Valdemir Malik. Hi, Mike. Our Polish ex-counter-intel colonel also claims it is a catalyst causing people to die from other illnesses. So people get confused because it's like a biological agent. Yeah, it does kind of weirdly. It's kind of weird. Yeah, there's a lot of people's imaginations are churning. We need to get the research more churning with our intelligence agencies and whatnot. Deborah Bowe, nephew in Colorado, got it early March, finally back to work a month later, 2 weeks after returning to work, tested positive again. This will not be good. If we'll have to see. I need to hold my words because I'm not an infectious disease expert. So let's Never drive faster than what your headlights will support. Uh, but it could be quite significant. Any amateur can see that much. Uh, Larry says, so whatever happened to the protests ever happened to the protests in Hong Kong? They were having protests tonight. I was watching them. I almost went live with them, actually, because I was watching them, sitting here watching it on Stand News. There were multiple live video feeds going. They were fighting tonight. I love Hong Kongers. They're awesome. They're awesome. Like Taiwanese people, awesome. Let's see. So your nephew's okay, but he's being treated with over-the-counter meds. I hope he's good to go, and he's isolated. Penny Sanford, South Korean President Moon has also been making moves in alliance with China. Oh, yeah. He's not our buddy. Moon is not our buddy. You know, yeah, he's not our buddy. Larry says, without water in Texas, good luck with gardening. Listen, if you don't know what Israeli irrigation is, drip irrigation, I've been trying to get some right here. There's a company in Thailand. I've called them and left messages. They don't answer. Listen, I might just have it sent from somewhere other country. Well, I'm going to Taiwan. Maybe I can buy some over there and bring it back to Thailand. Israeli drip irrigation system or drip irrigation system. I watched it getting used a lot in Afghanistan. And Afghans had never used it before, but a friend of mine was hiring South African and other farmers from around Africa, and he was bringing them to Afghanistan to help Afghans learn how to farm. And he brought them from Africa, the farmers from Africa, because various reasons. One is they could get along with people like Afghans. Actually, Afghans are very easy to get along. I like Afghans. They were easy. So the Afghans started using this drip irrigation system. Israelis use it because, you know, Israel has huge water problems. But Israeli drip irrigation system is really good. It's basically the hoses just sort of sweat the water, right? And you can add the chemicals in there. It doesn't waste much water at all. That's why little Israel, which has huge water problems, doesn't have a water problem at all. They produce more water than they can use, and they give it to the ingrates over in Gaza. Oh, that'll cause a fight. But, you know, that's how I look at it. That's just my view. Mileage may vary. I know I can get along with Israelis and other people, and then there's others that I wonder if they're going to blow us up. So there you go. Speaking of which, one of my Israeli friends is going to come on my live feed soon. Igal Zur. We were together in India, and he's an author. He has a new book out, and Igal is awesome. Let me see. I'm looking for questions here. But you can probably garden if you get a drip irrigation system. It doesn't require much water. Most of the water is wasted the way we water. It's ridiculous. Michael Martin, Pennsylvania is partially opening on May 8th. We're going county by county. Yeah, probably going to get hit. This is like, read books on pandemics and you'll just see it's like, and then they opened up and got smashed. And then they opened up and got smashed. And then they opened up and then got smashed. It's like a long line of, and then they opened up and got smashed. It keeps going on. It's never, and they opened up and everything was good. You know, I don't remember any reading about any cases like that. However, we know that the virus is not the only part of our problem set. People do need to make money. They do have children to feed. There are things to do that require that we keep our economy alive. So, you know, there's clearly a lot of people that are willing to risk their lives to make money, you know, and to survive and feed their families. And, you know, I don't blame them at all. Look, I'm a war correspondent. So obviously I'm not faulting anybody for risking their life to do what they feel that they need to do, knowingly risking their life. Well, some people just don't even get it. They think it's the flu or whatever. And that's just, this is going to be tough luck. This is big boy rules. If you spend all your time playing video games instead of studying, then, you know, you could have a hard time with this thing. Alexa says a lot of businesses didn't open up on Georgia on Friday because they want to be safe. Tiffany says pick blackberries and freeze it. We used to pick blackberries and immediately make blackberry pancakes, or my grandmother would make blackberry pies and stuff. I love me some blackberries, and they come as big as your thumb, man, about that big in North Carolina, in some places. But be careful when you're in the blackberry patch, because the blackberries draw the snakes and mice and stuff, and it draws birds and mice, and then that draws snakes. So just be aware when you're going to the blackberry patch. Kind of always bring you a stick to shoo any snakes away. I don't kill snakes, but I shoo them away. Like, get out of here, snake. I gotta pick some blackberries. Has anyone got their stimulus money yet? Not me, but I didn't apply for it, and I'm not going to. Valdemar Malik, if so many restaurants are closed, what the supply depots will do with all the stock? Are they closed as well? Maybe one can buy from a restaurant supplier. Yeah, actually, I've been saying that as well for a couple months, and I think that's a great idea, Waldemar. Let's actually go into that for a minute so that it seeps in. Listen, there are farmers in the United States right now. They got tomatoes and stuff rotting in the fields. I was listening to some of them talk about today. They're like, there's all these people need food. There's all this other stuff going on. There's like millions of food of meals being given out per day now in the United States for free because people can't afford it, and because they're out of work. So there's like food lines in the United States right now. Millions of meals being given out every day across America. And these farmers are lamenting. Like this one farmer, he's like, I'm trying to give my food away. I can't get it out of the field fast enough to give it away. I can't do it fast enough. It's a logistics problem. Again, logistics. And so, so you got a lot of good farmers trying to just give it away because when the restaurants closed, consumption has gone down, and it's not all moved to the home. And that's a separate supply chain, by the way. I've learned this only during this famine, that the supply chain that delivers our food to our grocery stores is a separate supply chain actually than goes to the restaurants. I didn't know that actually until recently. And so that is a whole thing needs to have to be reworked, and it's being reworked. But in the meantime, imagine tens of thousands of restaurants. I don't know how many, 100,000 across the United States, and hotels and whatnot, cruise ships. They got these giant freezers filled with food, the big cans of beans and stuff that they buy. And they're sitting in their warehouse and they need the money. Go knock on the door. If you got restaurants in your neighborhood, go knock on the door, or maybe they got to just look them up in the phone book, call them up. Hey, you got some inventory you want to sell? I bet you the owner will be like, yeah, hold on, I'll be right down, and go buy their inventory. They need the cash, and they'll probably want to cash out of that inventory, and then you can get, buy it for a good price. So then everybody can be happy. Let's see. Gary Foster, you're just trying to scare people. Hey, Gary, this is what I want you to do. Go get a blender and stick your head in it, because and then feed your brains to the flowers outside, because you've got no place in this. This is a war, and it's for adults, right? And you can't handle it. So you need to get with the program, or just going out there and don't wear a mask and see how long you live. And guess what? Ain't nobody going to cry for you. This is big boy rules. This is a war, and stupid people die disproportionately in wars, way disproportionately. Trust me on that. Smart people and good people die too, but so do stupid. But stupid people die at a disproportionately high number. Trust me, I swear, I've seen it so many times. Stupid people's like, hey, is there a sniper around here? Yeah, there you go. Barbara Summy, food prices up and up for meat places have shut down, killing chickens because they can not run the plants. Milk is being poured out. Veggies, man, can you imagine? I swear, if I saw people pouring out milk, I'd say, hold, stop. I'm gonna go buy a freezer. I'm gonna go buy a freezer right now. I'm gonna take all that. Will you wait? Can you wait a few hours? I'm gonna go get me a freezer. That would freak me out to see tons of milk being thrown away. I love milk. I got a lot of milk in the cartons. You know, the cartons that last a long time. I got a lot of those. I don't need these. Let's see. What will happen to CCP? Bart is asking. Unknown. I mean, they're certainly not as powerful as they used to be. Uh, Nobody is. Every second that passes by, they're bleeding. They've got arterial bleeding, as do we. They're going to bleed out faster. They got more people to take care of. They got it, and their wealth relatively is much lower. They don't have as much fat, literally and figuratively. Uh, and by the way, do look at your fat as money in the bank. Okay. Fat obviously is bad right now because you can see a lot. Well, it's bad all the time. Well, not all. It's not bad all the time at all. But it's bad when it's obesity, of course. But now it's can be particularly bad because it looks like the doctors have been saying for quite a while now that obese people are dying disproportionately because of maybe breathing problems. I don't know. So let me not say anything more about that. But that fat, the extra fat that you got on you, that's money in the bank. Reduce your eating, burn your fat. That reduces your, how that works. I mean, if you got 50 pounds of extra fat, think about that. That's more than 50 days that you can go without eating, even if you're doing it every other day. Think about that. So cash in on that fat. Cash in on the fat, and you'll feel better too. Uh, Penny saying, yes, we are in a depression that will be far worse than the Great Depression of the 1930s. Oh, yeah. That's clear. That's clear. I mean, who would have thunk? I mean, a lot of us thought that something could crash our economy, but it's interesting that it's happened in this way. And one of the problems that we have now versus 1930s in the United States is that in that period, still more people were living rurally, right? Now, and across the United States, most people don't know how to plant a tomato. They don't know how to plant anything really, and so most people don't even know how to clean a chicken. But back then, people knew how to raise their own food. They go fishing, and there was a population density was a lot less, and there were fewer people that depended on somebody else to grow their food, and those farmers were far away. Like if you live in New York City or Los Angeles, deep down in Los Angeles, the farmers can be really far away. So there's the logistics problems and so many other things. Lay Fix says, I'm looking online for some places to buy meat online. It's not cheap, but I'm disabled and compromised immune system, so I can't go to the store. If anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. Hey, Lay, why don't you call some local restaurants? Get in the yellow pages. The yellow pages still exist, and start calling local restaurants who may be closed, and and see if any of them have some inventory they want to come off with. I'll bet you, or some call directly to farmers. They're probably getting a lot of calls. Can Michael Martin is saying, can the power really go out because of this? Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That's why I got solar put in. Well, I'll be over in Taiwan anyway. Well, I'm fine. I'll go live in the jungle. I don't have any problem. Well, I won't go live in the jungle just because power goes out. But I can rough it. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a different sort. But most people, don't want to do that. What if you have medical issues or whatever? You got kids. You know what I mean? It's hot. They're in Arizona. Someplace. But certainly, yeah, power absolutely goes out often during pandemics. Larry says, you said, Mike, you're encouraging hoarding. Please spell encouraging correctly if you're going to say stuff like that. And you're wrong. Remember that this virus seeks out stupidity and it kills it. It actually kills stupidity. So it shoots for the stupid people first and it kills them. Unfortunately, they end up spreading the disease a lot. You know, the stupid people that get all crowded together and don't wear masks and call it the flu, despite 50,000 plus Americans dead already, 200,000 people dead worldwide, still growing exponentially globally. Yeah. Highest unemployment rate the United States has ever seen. It's just the flu, huh? It kills stupid people like landmines. David Fisher says, bought a solo stove here in UK, campfires model. Good man. If you're going to buy a homemade camping stove, try to get one that's multi-fuel. Some will do like propane or butane and gasoline or kerosene or many things. White gas is the best on energy per unit, and also it's not dirty. I haven't been able to find white gas in Thailand, but like I got an Optimus stove. Actually, I used to have XGK. That's what we MSR. That's what we used in special forces. They're really loud though. But we used, they were loud and we used them in special forces, but they were very fuel efficient. But I got now Optimus, and that's just ultimate backup. That's not what I plan to use. And a pressure cooker. I got a pressure cooker because if everything goes out, all electricity goes out, and I can't keep the expensive products cold, I'm going to put them in a pressure cooker and I'm going to cook them bad boys up, right? I'm going to can some of them. I'm just going to cook them. And a lot of them, I'm just going to make a hunter stew, what they call a hunter's pot, or a perpetual stew. They do it a lot in Thailand. English do it. I think Americans probably learned it from English people. Basically, a hunter's pot is you just take your pot, like a Dutch oven, and you just keep pouring anything you want in there, and you eat it. And you just eat it week after week, month after month. Some of these things are going for years. There's one in the news in Thailand. It's like 40 years at a restaurant. And some in the UK, hundreds of years. Like there was one, I mentioned it numerous times. It was going for something crazy, like 400 years or something. And the health department finally made them shut it down. But if you get a hunter stew going, you better be careful and have some discipline, because it'll start. The longer it goes, the better it tastes. So if you got it going for like 2 weeks, you're gonna get fat if you don't have discipline, because it tastes good and it gets better and better as it goes. Or you see like cheap stuff at the market, like, hey, here's some chickens that are cheap, buy them up, throw them in a hunter's pot. You know, there's some pork stuff, buy it, throw it in the hunter's pot. There's a bunch of veggies, throw them in the hunter's pot. So if you get a big pressure cooker, you'll be able to, have another bat. And if you have a gas cooker, even if all your electricity goes out, you can save a lot of it by making a hunter's pot. And if you get like an Optimus stove, then you'll be able to, in the Optimus stove, it's a little stove. You can turn it down so that it will simmer. Some camping stoves won't simmer. They're just full blast or not at all. But like the Optimus can simmer. Or just get one of those Coleman stoves. I've got a couple like that as well. And so, that's good that you got a camping stove, because that way you can also just take it and go if you have to go. Colin Smith, good luck. I've ordered some stuff from Amazon and it never showed. Yeah, I've had some problems with that actually. Most of my stuff from Amazon has showed up. I'd call a butcher and maybe see if they can help you. You might be able to pay someone a little. If you're in a city, there are actually, weirdly, I've never had an Amazon order disappear until now. And now I've had 2 disappear. They refunded them. It's no problem. But like, it's just in the last couple months, I had a couple disappear. There's some things I can't get from Thailand, and so I've been getting them from the U.S. What am I drinking? Just water. I didn't even have any coffee today. The only thing I had today was water and my vitamins. I've cut down on the coffee quite a lot too. I was drinking a lot of coffee in the first part of the fast, but now I've cut that out too. I haven't really cut it out. I just like don't think to go make it. Usually I love to drink coffee, but now it's just kind of. Fanny Choi says, "Hi, all. I'm from Hong Kong, and I agree with what Michael say. I hope if you're in Hong Kong, I hope you're well." Uh, Megan says, "I live dead center of the hood. Me and my neighbors made a pact. I wonder what that pact is." Yeah. Cheryl says he's speaking to people all around the globe. Some countries are going to do better than others. Yeah. And some parts of countries as well, right? Like Thailand is a very complex country. Like the United States is super complex. Like if you're living up in Alaska and you got a hunting rifle and you're on the water and you know how to fish and you know all that stuff, you know, what's your problem going to be? You know what I'm saying? You know, uh, I don't know what your problem would be, especially if you got a greenhouse and all that. You're up in Alaska. What's your problem going to be? You can't get enough bear meat. I don't know. But if you're in the middle of some crime-ridden neighborhood, you know that could be a huge problem. And also keeping in mind, there's a lot of countries that are dependent on oil: Iraq, Iran, Libya, Saudi Arabia, UAE, very rich, Qatar, Bahrain, so many, Russia, uh, quite a lot more, and look at oil prices; they're broke. Uh, what's going to happen with Russia? What's going to happen? I mean, the ruble has to be going, uh, you know, gone, and all these countries that are dependent on oil for revenue, they're getting smoked. They are getting smoked. And think about that. Think about Iraq. Iraq, in particular, is still fractious and in war to begin with. And so many issues, whether it's with Kurds, Assyrians, or Sunni, Shia, all these things with Iran or whatever. It's so many things going on. And suddenly their oil, which is their principal source of income, is why pump it? Court Graham says buy seeds and learn when and how to plant them. Homemade sauerkraut and kimchi equals good probiotics. Uh, Listen, hey, Court, I just got Soy is sending me, my friend Soy, she's sending me 3 Thai pickling jars. I'm going to make sauerkraut and pickles with those. I bought a lot of my own jars the other day, but Soy's getting the better ones. She already bought them. She already mailed them from from more near Bangkok, and so I'll have them soon. And I'm gonna ask my neighbors how to make Thai fermented fish because I don't know how to make fermented fish Thai style. So I'm gonna ask. Megan says, "Dude got stabbed in Costco." Going to see a lot more of that in the future. Michelle Lynn, not yet, Doris. Not everyone I know is collecting unemployment for 5 weeks here in California. It's going to get serious. Do I hear rain? Let me see. Yeah, you can hear rain outside. Live. Outdoor. I love the sound of rain. Quite loud, actually. Okay. Each one is saying, Mr. Yan, do you think China will make a push for the Philippines, Spratly Islands, aside from Taiwan? Also, Kim Jong Un passes. How could this affect the rest of the world? Yeah, it's a serious risk that China can make a go for a lot of places. And as you know, they will bully Philippines and every other country that they can. We have to stick together and unambiguously, not like, oh, we're going to go with China because they're making a better deal. You know, first of all, we have a long memory for stuff like that. And don't forget that. we have a long memory for people that look like they're selling out to China and then see China collapse. So everybody needs to stick together on this. Together, there's nothing China can't. Together, we're 10 times too powerful for China if we stick together. On the passing of Kim, if he's passed, we'll see. I mean, that's a wild card. That is a serious wild card. Might just go as smooth as silk. Maybe not. Who knows? Barbara's saying meat is already low in some stores. No toilet paper, no baby wipes. I'm going to say again, I said it numerous times. I said it earlier today on a different podcast. Buy Japanese toilets or, toilets with a bidet. They're much better, 10 times better. They're more sanitary, and you don't need toilet paper. Just get a good, Japanese toilet. They're perfect. Once you've had one of those, you'll be looking at your fellow Americans going, y'all are savages. You wipe your backside with paper? That's like savage. Use a bidet. Use a Japanese toilet. Buy one now and get it. You can do it now. If you got the money, do it now. Penny's saying, do I see China invading us with forces? United States? No, not at all. United States? Please send 100,000 Chinese forces to invade the United States. We'll kill them dead. Let's see. Edward Collier, I don't think so. He's just passionate about this. You're free to not prepare and let the government take care of you. Yeah. Actually, he's not free to let the government take care of him. The government, depending on what country you're from, the government's only going to be able to do so much. And the government of the United States is only going to be able to do so much. And listen, you're on your own. You'd have to look at this like you're on your own. What's $1,200 stimulus? Really nothing. The real bailout went to big people. You have to look at this like you're on your own. At any point, oh, good Lord, yeah. Colin Smith, there probably is one within an hour of you. Talking about delivery. Let's see. Michelle saying your food prices have skyrocketed. Valdemir Malik, we were parading for first May holiday. They pulled us from the street to the hospitals, gave iodine. Oh, you're talking about Chernobyl. Now forests burn around Chernobyl, causing radioactive dust up in the air and winds to spread it. Yep. Oh, wow. There's so many questions. I'll just shoot to the bottom. Turn off my TV. I don't have a TV on. Bleach the gene pool. It's about to get bleached for people that are dumb enough to not wear masks. I mean, they're straight up stupid. They're straight up stupid. At this phase, at this point, in this virus is a straight up stupid seeking missile. Colin says, forgive me for saying this, Mike, but a lot of us Americans aren't that mentally tough, Mike. You being an obvious exception, any advice on how to mentally toughen up? Yeah, small steps, but you can take them quickly. One is get control of your diet, right? Learn how to fast, as an example, is a good, if you don't have type 1 diabetes or something that would preclude you, and most people don't. Building self-discipline, you can do it very slow. It's like building muscles. It's the same. And there's only so much you can take. Don't take on 10 items at one time. You'll be overwhelmed because everybody only has so much that they can take on at once. Just take on one thing. Just take on, let's say if you smoke, just reduce one cigarette per day. That's all, just one. until you're good with it, and then 2, right, and then 3, and but likewise with eating. Um, uh, just skip one meal, for instance, and then then you've just demonstrated to yourself you have control to skip one meal, and then once you feel comfortable doing that, go ahead and skip 2 meals, right? And then and then you're comfortable with that. Go ahead and go 24 hours and don't eat one time, and then you'll start building more self-discipline, right? And then do a day and a half, and then go back, and don't push yourself too hard. It's like going to the gym and pushing too hard. Just do it incrementally, right? So incrementally do things that require some self-discipline. Not a lot. Just add another little plate to the rack, a little more weight on the side, and over time, before you know it, you'll be like, hey, these arms are a lot stronger. All of a sudden, it's only been 3 months. I'm doing twice as much now, right? And it's the same with self-discipline. But whatever you do, don't pile on too much, because then you'll fail. Just like if you pile on too much on a weight bar, you'll fail, and then you'll be like, I failed, And you don't want to do that. You want to get little successes, not little failures, not big failures. Sometimes you fail, so get used to that. Sometimes it's just life, right? It's not how many times you fail, it's how many times you get back up, right? But you want a lot of successes too. So just, start with that. Control your diet. Once you can control that, then you can transmit, because for some reason it seems like discipline is something that you can actually transfer to other things, right? It's like the strength in your arms to lift the weight. That strength can be used to do something else too. You know what I mean? Once you've got some reasonable level of discipline, we all have some level of discipline, or we couldn't get dressed in the morning. We all have discipline. We all have strength. We all already do. If you want to make it stronger, there's certainly things you can do. And first would be, a good one is quite easy, and this is a good time to practice, is control your diet. And that'll help out a lot. Let's see. I think I'm trying to answer questions still. Rocky Mart is saying, get chokeberry elderberries, as they are one of the best. Oh, I've got a bunch of elderberry syrup and stuff coming, actually, because elderberries, that's what old people used to say too. Old people used to say it, and now the scientists are saying it. It's like normal. One of the things that sometimes I didn't listen to the older people as much as I should have when I was a kid, was because they would tell me stuff that works, and then they would tell me why. And I thought that they were very wrong on the science part, because I just studied so much. And on the science part, I'd be like, I don't think that's true on the science part. But what they act like elderberries, let's say, not elderberries, something more simple, something physics wise that I could more aptly understand, right? They would say something, nothing comes to mind. And then I would ask why, because I'm one of those kids that would be like asking why all the time. And then they would give some answer that I thought, I don't believe the answer. And then I would not believe the premise. I would throw the whole idea out, lock, stock, and barrel, because I thought that they got the cause wrong, which was a mistake was a thinking error on my part, because they got the science wrong, then they must have been wrong with the premise. But that's completely false. Often there is something that works, like elderberries. Now a lot of researchers think that it actually works. Let's see. But I've got a bunch of elderberries coming. Actually, a lot. They grow all over Florida. Tony Martinez, yes, received stimulus payment on 15th April. Good. Let's see. Donald is saying, I have drip hoses on auto timer, watering 2 of my trees in a separate plant section, far less waste. So he's talking about a drip irrigation system. It's basically a hose that sweats, right? and it really saves a lot of water, and it saves a lot of chemicals if you use chemicals on your plants. Learn to dry fruit. I'll be doing a lot of that this year. Actually, uh, I'm planning on 6 months in Taiwan, so I'm gonna have I'm gonna I'm gonna buy the ability to do all these things I'm telling you there, like have my own hunter's pot and going and dry my own fruit and that sort of thing. Douglas says, have you heard of these, any info on these folks coming up positive 30 days later? You're talking about the virus. Yeah, I have, but I'm just waiting for the scientists to tell us, to tell us something solid. All righty. Kim says, your gut is pretty good. You're still here in spite of all the places you've been and situations you've been in. Can't always write it as fast as you talk when I'm not ready with pen and paper. Yeah. Thank you, Kim. And thank you for the support. I saw that you supported me today. Very much thank you. Very much needed. Very much appreciated. I can't operate without reader support, period. That's what I've lived on since 2005. Yeah, I've come out with books and that sort of thing, but you don't make much books on Chinese information war. This is my third book. Came out in Japan about 2 months ago, and it's on shelves. But with the virus, books sales decreased dramatically, and it's a lot of work going into these books. I feel bad for the publisher. I mean, it still looks like it's got some great reviews. Please review it if you've read it. It's only in Japanese language though. But yeah. So, I'm affected just like everybody else. Yeah, drip irrigation is really good stuff, man. Even the Afghan farmers took to it. And farmers tend to be very conservative. They don't take big chances, right? They stick with what works. And Afghan farmers are especially like that. So they had to show them that it works. And then the Afghan farmers were all over it. So when Afghan farmers are like, oh yeah, I'll pay money for this, then they actually loved it. Colin Smith, New York death miscounts. This is being blown out of proportion as a conspiracy theory to inflate the numbers. I don't know, man. Those trucks full of bodies in Italy and other places, mass graves in Iran, so many things that happen in China. Joey Carroll is saying, just read about a bad batch of N95 masks from China. Instead of 95 MIT testing, they showed they only filtered 28.1%. Does this seem to be a pattern? Oh, it's China. Does this seem to be a pattern? Let me show you some crap from China. I got some gardening gloves. Well, they're not really gardening gloves, but I got them for that. I never even used them for that. I didn't get any use out of them. Look at this. I got them right here. Oh, look at that. It's another hole coming in it. Look at this. See the fingers came off? I didn't cut those off. They came off. I hardly use this thing. I didn't even really use it at all. And it looks like I cut them, but I didn't cut them. They literally just came off. They all cracked in the same spot. And I was like, what in the world? And look, see the hole there? This is just like normal stuff. Look, when you Chinese crap, can't even make gloves. Can't make can openers. Can't make gloves. What they can make is concentration camps for Uyghurs, and they can make genocide on Tibetans, and pain for Hong Kongers, and terrorism on Taiwanese people. Look, that glove still works. Same set. It's like, were they made by different manufacturers or what? China. Crap. So yeah, that's normal for China to put out crap that doesn't work. So those N95 masks, I wouldn't doubt it. I wonder how many people died because those masks didn't work. All right, let me let me shut it off. What time is it? It's 3 in the morning, 0258 here in Chiang Mai, and I'll need to get to bed. And thank you for everybody who has supported my work. Big time helpful, big time needed. I'm going to use it for Hong Kong, not Hong Kong. Well, yeah, in the Hong Kong fight. A lot of Hong Kongers are over in Taiwan, but also to tell the situation in Taiwan. And Taiwan was never part of China. Taiwan's a completely separate country. And we need to recognize it. The United States needs to recognize Taiwan, as do every country in the world. Stop kowtowing to CCP. It's disgusting and extremely dangerous. Very bad to be kowtowing to CCP. All right. Good night. Thank you for all the support. Probably be on tomorrow. Mike out.